Grant, thank you for meeting us here at the Chef's Revolution.
Thank you.
We are in Zwolle at Jonny's place. How do you like it so far?
It's been amazing. So last night we arrived and we had an incredible meal. So I've never been to the Netherlands, ever. I've never been to Germany, I've never been to Denmark, I've never been to Sweden, I've never been to Norway, I've never been in this part of the world. And so for us to come here, and we're traveling with 6 people, all part of the team, none of us have been. Incredibly inspirational because, come to find out, you know, it's kind of that undiscovered, for whatever reason, it's that undiscovered region of the world gastronomically. In other words, well, okay, everybody knows about Copenhagen because of Renee, right? But when I say I'm going to Amsterdam, people don't think of food. When you say you're going to...
Maybe Americans don't think about food.
Perhaps. But you know, when you go to... I say Johnny, most people here say Yanni. When you go to his place, it doesn't necessarily hit the American radar. Where are we? Well, we're in a relatively small European city, right? What is the population? 180,000, 200,000. I don't know. Is that right?
I think it's way less than that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So here we are, and we come into this oasis, and we go to the chef's table, and he serves us a 17-course meal that is absolutely world-class. And me and my research and development chef, Eric, the executive chef of Next, Dave Barron, and the executive chef of Alinea, Mike Begal, are sitting there going like, how have we not had this restaurant on our radar? And the thing with us back in Chicago is, you know, we get on the internet, we Google, right? We talk to colleagues that have moved on. You know, we've had people that you know that have worked at Alinea that work in Berlin, right?
Or in Munich.
In Munich, in everywhere, Barcelona, in Copenhagen. I mean, a lot of the people that work at Noma have worked at Alinea at one point. Geranium, Amas. But we don't really know what is going on here until we come. And you can watch it online, you can watch videos, you can watch, you know, presentations, you can come and sit and watch Rene Redzepi talk about his cuisine. But until you're in the place, you just don't really feel it. And now we come here and we left the hotel room and we took a boat ride down the canal and we arrived at the restaurant, and it's this magical, specific thing. And I think everybody in the world right now is grappling towards regionality, right? What happens 60 kilometers outside my restaurant? And that's what I should focus on. Whether it be ingredients, farmers, seafood, the ocean, whatever it is. But last night, it was this magical thing because we left the hotel, we got on a boat, we went down the canal, we arrived at the restaurant, we went downstairs into the kitchen, we had dinner, and it was everything from here. And we're cooks, right? So how do we connect to the culture? We connect by the food. We can walk around and see what is out there for food. We can go to a cafe, we can have a beer, you know, have an appetizer, have a snack, sit out in the sun. We get an idea of what is happening here for food. We go to the restaurant and it's like, okay, we have a pulse. on what is going on. And to me, that's why we took this trip. None of us had ever been here, and I feel bad that we have not traveled more. We go to Japan, we go to Spain, we go to South America. We've never been to the Netherlands, we've never been to Germany, and so
It's a shame.
It's a shame. Well, Dave Barron went to Germany last year.
You liked it?
He loved it.
Okay.
He had some amazing meals. And Justin chaperoned him through, right? And told him where to go and made reservations. But it's really exciting for me because you think about, I spend most of my time trying to come up with new ideas. Whether that be on my computer and going to restaurants' websites or listening to what other cooks are saying about what is happening in the world. So for me to actually come to a new place at this point in my career, and I'm not old, I'm 40, but I've been traveling, doing the congresses for 13 years. Madrid Fusion, Alimentaria, we've been all over Spain, we've been all over South America, we've been everywhere. To come to a new place and see new food and new ingredients is inspiring. And that's why we're here.
So traveling is part of your inspirational process?
Absolutely. 100%. And I think what we're going to show tomorrow is pulling back from that. So you have Renee. Everybody in the world right now is pulling back, right? Everybody's going, here's what happens within 60, 100 kilometers from my restaurant. Renee maybe goes and harvests, sheep sorrel and, plants that are growing on the shoreline and live shrimp and reindeer lichen. All these things that are right here for him. What I want to show tomorrow, we do the same thing. However, we're in Chicago. It would be like, here's our restaurant. The circle that everybody's used to is tall buildings. So in order for us to forage or discover ingredients, we have to go outside of the 60 kilometers because everything starts out here for us. The cornfield, the lake, everything is outside. So now as a restaurant, as a globally recognized restaurant that wants to procure the very best ingredients in the world, we have to go outside of that. And I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, it sounds about right. In Europe, you became famous as chef of Alinea, a restaurant every foodie knows by now. How does the creative process work in your restaurant, in short words?
The creative process at Alinea is a collaboration. It always has been and always will be. That's the spirit of the restaurant. So now we have Mike Begal, the executive chef, myself, two sous chefs that come together and really just go, what ingredient, what technique, what season, what serviceware, and when those things collide, we potentially have a new dish.
How often does that happen? New dishes?
It's not planned.
Predictable, yeah.
Yeah, it's very spontaneous. So, like, for instance, the great thing about Alinea, the spirit of Alinea, is that, we never know when it's going to happen. And there's 5 or 6 of us that are involved. And anybody can bring an idea to the table. and then we all kind of grab a hold of it and have input. And so, like, for instance, tomorrow we're going to present a dish that we've never done before that will eventually make its way to the Alinea menu based on our surroundings in Chicago and involving 5 people. It's not just me. Like, it can't be. There's too much. So, like, Mike says, I figured out this new technique, and Eric, our research and development chef, might be walking down the street in Chicago, snap a photo of graffiti. I might be going like, all I really want, because it's the height of summer in Chicago, is a really ripe tomato. One of our other sous chefs might go, hey, why don't we serve food on a piece of concrete? And then all that comes together to form a dish. That's the spirit of Alinea. That's the creative process.
You once described your cuisine as progressive American. Could you define that for our European community?
America is very difficult in terms of when you think of the top 50 restaurants in the world. Most of them are either European, Asian, or South American based. And what that means is they have a history that goes back to at least the 1700s. Many way before that. The United States has a very young history for gastronomy. And we have the gastronomic identity of being a melting pot. We have Mexican communities, we have Puerto Rican communities, we have Scandinavian communities, we have Germanic communities, we have all of these things in pockets. We don't have one thing. We have many things. So when I say progressive American, I mean combining all those ethnicities, German, Italian, Spanish, South American, Nordic, Scandinavian, whatever, all these things with American innovation. So think about the Rockefellers and the Industrial Revolution that was led in America. That ingenuity, coupled with all these influences from all over the world, whether you're in Japan or Vietnam or Denmark or Germany or Italy or wherever, coming together as one. That's progressive American.
So it's a melting pot.
Basically, it's a melting pot, and that's kind of a melting pot might be a bad thing to say, because it seems like an excuse.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
However, when you think of progressive, and you think of thinking outside the box, and you think of, rule breaking, then maybe you should come up with excuses not to be confined. So basically what I'm saying, progressive American, means that we can do any ingredient, any technique throughout the world.
No boundaries.
No boundaries, set in a very technologically advanced mindset. We can time travel. I can go, we're going to use all the modern technology, all the modern techniques. We're going to do 3D printing. We're going to do liquid nitrogen. We're going to do centrifuges. We're going to do spherification. All the things that are modern. Or we're going to go back and use fire. Basic fire to cook food.
That is close to a description to your other restaurant next, right? You're doing time travelings, you're experiencing different continents and all that.
Yeah, except that next is extrapolated to a menu. So we're beholden to that menu for a period of time. So when you think of the difference between Next and Alinea, the thought processes are largely the same. However, at Alinea, you might have a 22-course menu that you have course 1 that uses modern technology, rotary evaporators, liquid nitrogen. And then course 2 might be something that we use, we're grilling over Japanese bichotan, hundreds of years old. And it might go like that throughout the whole menu. Next locks into an identity and runs it for 3 months. And we hold to that. So if we're doing Japanese kaiseki, we're only utilizing the technique and the ingredient for Japanese kaiseki for 3 months. So in a way they're the same, in a way they're very different. I think every 15 years, gastronomy shifts.
When is the next shifting going on?
I think it started the box started 2009. So I think we have another 5 years before it really shifts hard.
I'm going to call you then. You have great chefs at Alinea, it's Mike Begale. At Next, Dave Barron, and also at the Aviary, it's Enri Brochu.
Yes.
Which role leaves that to you? Is it only a creative and inspirational part?
So I think right now, for me, in my career, it's very different maybe than most chefs, where I have the opportunity to... Those Chef Begale, Chef Brochu, and Chef Barron could run those restaurants without me. They could. But I choose to be involved. Like, if you come to Alinea and I'm there, I'm behind the line. I'm actually cooking. Not even just plating, but like physically cooking. And same, if I'm at Next, I'm doing the same thing. I'm behind the line. To me, I need to stay connected. It's very important to me. I can't inspire if I don't cook. I feel like you have to touch the food, no matter what. We can come up with food. I can go, I can write down something, right? And say, here's an idea. And it might be a great idea. And Chef Barron can execute it. Chef Brochu can execute it, and they will. But for me, in order for other ideas to pop up, I need to actually touch the food, and I do.
Your dishes and menu concepts have been copied all over the world. What do you think of those copycats?
Copycats. Is there copying? Copying in food is a very strange thing. And my belief has always been that the internet has been the chef's answer to a copyright. In other words, you can't copyright a recipe. If you wanted to go make a signature dish of Alinea, if you wanted to go make the helium balloon tomorrow, you could. However, because of the internet and the open source availability of media and the way it works now, if you owned a restaurant and you made a helium balloon, everybody would know that came from Alinea because they saw it on the internet, YouTube, Vimeo, Twitter, Facebook. They know where that came from. So now we have a built-in protection. So anybody that copies, they're basically promoting us.
Your restaurant.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to see it.
Yeah.
Last question, Grant.
Yeah.
What is next in Grant's empire?
So what is next? What is next for us?
I don't mean your restaurant, I mean what is coming up.
We're going to open our 4th place in Chicago, hopefully early spring. It's going to be far different than anything that we've done. From the guest experience, it'll be raw, rustic, yet refined, a little bit rowdy. It'll be helmed by Andrew Brochu, and we're going to use things like fire. You know, for the longest time, the misconception of Alinea, and even Next, was that we did everything sous vide, we did everything with a roto evaporator, we did everything in a centrifuge. That wasn't the case, but now we're going even far to the left of that, where we're using open fire. And we're going to kind of go back in time while remaining refined. We're going to add elements of rusticity to the cuisine. And I think it's going to be fun, loud, boisterous, rowdy. It's like Andrew. The personality of that restaurant is like Andrew. Beard, tattoos, here we go. Blood, meat, you know, roasted vegetables, that sort of thing. Right.
Thank you
Sure,
so
okay.
much.